So let us continue. So good morning everyone. So we continue with what? Push and stack memory machine. So last time we have seen what? Simulation. So last time we have seen what? Simulation of this using the three columns: current, state, the stack contents, and the third column as well, date and the. Okay, so this is not clear. Is it clear?
Madam?
Just,
Madam, voice is not clear.
okay. Okay. Now it is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we'll continue last time's example. So for this example, we have seen what? The simulation. Okay. So how you have seen the simulation? If you remember, for this example, a to the power n, b to the power n. So we have seen using the three columns: current state, stack contents, and the third was what? Tape and head. So we have seen that each string ends with the what? Blank character. So input string is written on the tab, which is bounded at the left end, and on the right hand side there can be number of blanks once that string ends. Stack is empty to indicate that we have used the initially what? Blank character, and this is what we have seen the simulation of this. Okay, so after that what we have seen, how to write the equations. Okay, and to write the equations, because whenever you design each time we have to write the equations of it. Okay, so here we have seen the there are 7 tuples in this PDA. So 7 tuples are what? It is input alphabet, stack alphabet, in then set of states, then transition function, initial state for the stack, initial state. Okay, Q0 initial state we have seen, and the set of final states. Okay, then for the transition function we have seen we need a 3 elements, and this is how in terms of equations last time we have seen, where Q is indicating what? The current state, A indicates the what? Input symbol, and Z is a symbol on the top of the stack. And this transition, what it indicates? This transition indicates the next state and the stack content. Okay, so we have written last time the equations, so like this way. So today also we'll consider the few examples of this. Okay, after that we have seen what? The other way. Okay, okay, so the other way of simulation that we have seen here, how it is denoted, we are writing here this way, where Q0 is a what? State, then the input string that ends with the blank, and initial it start with the third indicate what? The stack content, and it is blank initially. So for this string we have seen the simulation. Okay, each time we move the, after reading the input symbol, we move the we move here what? The head pointer ahead. Okay, and then the action may be what? It may push the symbol on the stack, or it may pop the symbol from the stack. Okay, and that we have seen last time. Okay, so next point here is what? For the same example, for this example, there are 2 ways to accept the input string. Okay, so we have seen PDA, it is designed for what? Context free languages. So there are 2 ways. One is what? Acceptance of CFL by empty stack. Okay, so for the same example, we'll consider the 2 ways. First is what? Acceptance of CFL by empty stack. Okay. So this example is using that only. It accepts the input string whenever the what? your input ends as well as the stack is empty. So this we have seen. Whenever our input ends, what we are checking? Here we have seen read to. In the read to is what? Your state. In that state, if the character read is blank, then we are popping the symbol from the stack. And if that pop symbol is a blank, we are accepting the input string. Okay. So this is what acceptance of CFL by empty stack. Okay. So whatever examples we are going to consider in this will be of this type. Okay. Of this type, that is acceptance of CFL by empty stack. So we can write the here like this way. Let Q0 is a state, let W is our input string, and Z0 is a what? It is a symbol initially on the top of the stack. Okay, and this notation we are using for what? So this notation we are using for the finding the next state. Okay, so here the star indicate what? One in one or more state if you can get this type of. Okay, so then the input string is accepted. So what this indicate? Epsilon we are using to indicate what? The input ends, and this indicate what? This indicate the stack is empty. Okay, so you are starting with the initial state. This is the input string that is to be accepted, and Z0 is what? It is a character which is on the top of the stack. Okay, and in one or more steps, if you get this type, so where P is a what? P is a some state. This epsilon indicate the input ends, and this indicate what? The stack is empty. So this example already last time we have seen acceptance here. So this example, if you remember, this example finally we got this. Okay, accept. We have written epsilon to indicate what? The input is ended, and this epsilon to indicate what? The stack is also empty. Okay, so here in how many steps we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In 5 steps we got this. Okay, so this is a one way. The second way here is a what? Acceptance of CFL by final state. Our read 1, read 2, in this case it is not a final state. Okay, we have not shown them as a final state. Okay, so the second type here is what? Acceptance of CFL by final state. Okay, so in this case final state here is what? In this case we are not going to check whether the stack is empty or not. Once we reach in the final state, we'll accept that string. So here it will be like what? Okay, so in one or more steps, if you get that, if your input ends, okay, and you are in the final state, then accept it. Here, this is a what? Your stack content. This is the stack contents. So this indicate what? Stack may or may not be empty in this case, but in one or more steps, if your input ends and you are in the final state, then accept it. Okay, so you about the first point, write down. About the first point, please write down what we have written. What we have written? In one or more steps, if we reach the state in which what? The input is also ended and the stack is also empty, then it is known as a what? Acceptance of CFL by empty stack. What you have to write here? Input also, input ends and the stack is also empty. Second case is what? Where now here this P will be the final state, where P is final state. Where P is a final state. Okay. Input ends and you are in the final state. This gamma, it is a stack content. It may not be, stack may not be empty in this case. Okay. In that case also you will accept the CFL. Okay. So in our case, what I told, we are going to use this only, acceptance of CFL by empty stack. Means what? Each time whenever our input ends, we'll check whether the stack is empty or not. Okay. So whenever our input ends and if the stack is empty, then only will accept that string. Okay, so that was related to the acceptance. Next point, that is state transition diagrams for the PDA. State transition diagrams for PDA. Okay, so already we have seen state transition diagrams for the finite automata. Okay, so in this case we have drawn the flowchart, but it is also possible to draw the state transition diagram for the PDA. Okay, so in that case, how to show the transitions here? Again, here what in the state transition diagram, state will indicate, it is a graph. So in that graph, what your vertices will be the states, and then edges will be labeled. Edges will indicate what? Transition from one state to the another state. Okay, so let for this we will draw the state transition diagram, and two ways. First we'll consider acceptance by empty stack. Acceptance by empty stack. Okay, so let this read one. For this, let I am using let Q0 to indicate in the transition diagram, and let read 2 indicate the Q1. Okay, and as we know, Q0 state from the start. Okay, so Q0 is our start state. Okay, now here how to label each edge. Okay, so I'll show how the edge will be labeled like this way. Current input symbol, let this is my current input symbol, comma, you have to indicate what? The stack content or the stack top symbol. If let the stack top symbol is Z0 initially, it may be a blank character as we know. So A indicates the current input symbol. Z0 indicate what? The stack top symbol slash. What you have to write? Okay, the stack contents after the transition. Okay, so stack content in this case we are considering A to the power n, B to the power n. Here we know we have to push the A symbol A till we get the B. Okay, so this A will be pushed on the top of the stack, and this is after the transition. So this is the stack content. Note down this. So we have to label each edge like this way from one state to the another state. Whenever there is a transition, this indicate what? Stack content after slash. This indicate what? Stack top symbol. And this indicates the current input symbol. Current input symbol. Okay. So for this, let us draw the diagram. So from you know the transition Q0. Okay. So in the Q0 state, if you get the A, okay, if you get the A, what is the next state? We have seen, if you remember all those transitions. See, this will be useful for you. In the read one, if you get A and the stack is blank, in this case we have considered let Z0. What is the next step? Next state is read one, that is the same state, and that A is pushed on the top of the stack. Okay, so our transition here from read 1 to read 1, that is Q0 to Q0. Okay, and this edge will be labeled by what? Your input symbol is A. Okay, input symbol is A. Let us assume stack is empty, that is Z0, and slash. क्या आएगा यहाँ पे? This A will be pushed on the stack. So stack content after transition will be A Z0. Okay, so this one we have seen the transition. Second case, second transition from Q0 to Q0 कब होगा? The stack is not empty now. The stack top symbol is A now. Okay, so can you tell me the age here? So this is what the case. What this indicate? Read one is your current state. Okay, A is the current input symbol. A is a symbol. Right now the stack is not empty. So A is a top stack symbol. So after that, what is the next step? Next step is read one, and the A input symbol is pushed on the stack. So one more edge is there from Q0 to Q0. Now you are going to tell me what will be the label for that? What will be the label for that? Q0 to Q0. What I told? A is the input symbol. Okay. A is also the top stack symbol slash. What is the stack content? What you have to do here? You have to remain in the Q0 state, no, and keep on pushing A symbols on the stack. So what is the stack content? Reply in the chat. What is the stack content? Here I have written everything. The meaning of the age label. This is what our age label. Each transition, each age label is this. So Q0 to Q0 transition, that is read 1 to read 1. Yes, any answer? Here I have shown no stack content you have to write no. No, Sakshi, it is not Z0. No, what this indicate? What is this? You are in the read one state. A is a current input symbol, and this A is a top stack symbol. So you are going to push no. Your action is what? Push A and remain in the same state, remain in the Q0 state only. That is correct. So the answer here is what? A. You don't know below what is there. You always know the top stack symbol. So I am not showing here below the Z0. I am showing only the two top symbols. Okay. So this is how we completed the transition from Q0 to Q0. Now here for the read one, we have used the Q1 state. Okay. Now can you tell me the transition from Q0 to Q1? Refer last time's equation. When there is a transition from read 1 to read 2, that is Q0 to Q1, and can you tell me the label of this age? Label of this age, what do you need? Input symbol, at that time stack top symbol, slash. What is the action done? Q0 to Q1 कब जा रहे हैं हम लोग? Whenever in the read one state, whenever the current input symbol is B, comma. What should be there on the top of the stack at that time? We are showing rejection, we are not showing. So A, that is correct. Stack top symbol should be at that time A, slash. Okay. So what is done? If you read the B and the top stack symbol is A, what you are doing, that A, you are going to pop the top stack symbol. Yes. So this A will be popped from the stack. So show it using the epsilon. Okay. So in the Q0 state, if you get the B, top stack symbol is A, then that A is popped from the stack. So after that, we are showing as A is popped, we are showing it by the epsilon. Okay. So that is what the transition from Q0 to Q1. Let us consider the transition from Q1. Okay. Q1 remains in the Q1 state. Yes. Okay. Q1, there will be the age from Q1 to Q1. But now tell me what is the age label. Age label के लिए you need this three. Yes. Q1 state में yes, that is input is B, comma. Again what? A is a symbol on the top of the stack. Then for each B, A is popped from the stack. So we are showing it as a epsilon. We are not showing here the rejection, that is A के लिए we are not showing age here. That is in the Q1 if you get the A. Okay, we are not showing that. Okay. Now here, as this is acceptance by empty stack, in the Q1, if you get here what? Blank की जगह हमने क्या यूज किया? Let input ends. So if my input ends, blank तो हम इस पे दिखाते नहीं है ना DFA में. We are not using here blank. We are using epsilon. Yes, in the DFA. So I'm showing that if input ends, let epsilon. At that time, let Z0. Z0 means what? Input ends. What is done? Whenever input ends, we pop the symbol from the top of the stack, and Z0 is at that time if at the top of the stack, and if it is popped, we are showing it as a blank. That is the epsilon, not blank, epsilon in the DFA. And let P is some other state. This is not a final state. Okay, but we are showing that after this we reach in some state P, but our acceptance will be based on this. So what this indicate? Input ends, stack is also empty. So accept the input stream. Okay. So this is how you can draw the transition diagram. Okay. Is that clear how you have to label the edges? Please note down this age label के लिए. If you remember this, it is easy for you to draw the edges. And don't show the rejection edges. Only we are considering the acceptance. Like here in the Q0, we are not considered. If my input ends, we are not shown that age. Okay. So we go for the second way. Yes, complete किया सबने? All of you are completed. So the second way. Okay. Second way here is a what? Acceptance by the final state. But we are not using, just double circle this and then it will be the what? Acceptance by the final state. Okay. So just draw it again. The same remaining transitions, it is not going to change. So draw this. And we'll show this as a final state. Okay. So in this case, what happens? Your stack may or may not be empty. Okay. But if you reach in the final state, then it is accepted. Okay. So this is the second way. What is this way? Acceptance by final state. Okay, so sometimes the question may be what, either draw the flowchart for the PDA or draw the straight transition diagram for the PDA. But if you draw the flowchart, then from that flowchart, it is easy to draw the transition diagram that we have seen. Okay, so yeah, here we complete the one example, what you can do in the PDA. Okay, so we'll start with the second example. Okay. ये नोट डाउन किया. सो विल गो फॉर द नेक्स्ट एग्जांपल. एक ही एग्जांपल कंप्लीट हुआ है राइट नाउ अपना. विल गो फॉर द सेकंड एग्जांपल. ओके, द सेकंड एग्जांपल, नोट डाउन. डिजाइन अ पीडीए. Design a PDA that checks for well-formedness of parenthesis. Well-formedness of parenthesis. So well-formedness of parenthesis means what? You are going to consider the strings formed with the parenthesis like this way. Okay, so for each opening bracket, there must be a corresponding closing bracket. Okay, and we know that well-formed string of parenthesis, it should start with the opening bracket. Okay, and then it must end with the closing bracket. Okay, so this can be, so the strings of this can be what? Epsilon, opening, closing. It can be like this way also. Okay, but it should not start with the closing, that we know. If I am writing this way, it should be rejected. Even if I take this, if there is an extra closing bracket, it should be rejected. Same thing, if there is an extra opening bracket and there is no corresponding closing bracket, it should be rejected. Okay, so this should be accepted, this should be rejected, and this should also be rejected. Okay, so if I write this, so this type of strings, okay, it should be accepted by our PDA. Okay, so we have seen that this well-formedness of parenthesis string, it is not accepted by the finite automata. So we cannot write a regular expression for this, but it is accepted by the context-free language. So we can write a grammar here, context-free grammar for this. Okay, context-free grammar for this. Can you write the context-free grammar for this? We first, let I am adding epsilon. Can you tell me the rules for this so that it generates the this type of strings? Try to write the rules for this. Well-formedness of parenthesis. Is the question clear? Okay, I'll write and then you tell me whether it is correct or not. Opening S, closing, followed by S or epsilon. Now just tell me whether you can generate all well-formed parenthesis string using this or not. Only two rules I have written. Okay, you can generate epsilon, you can generate opening, closing, you can derive and you can check. Or do you, I have to add a few more productions or this is correct? Why I have written that? To check that whether it is a context-free language or not. Once we can write a context-free grammar for this, means we can design a PDA for it. Whether the string is correct, all of you check whether these rules are correct or not. Naturally, it will be correct because opening ke liye I have written corresponding closing and this S is just for what? Repeating. Okay, this S is what? A concatenation, like opening, closing, and after that if I want to generate this type of string, that's why I consider this S here. Is it generating? Just check whether it generates this type of string or not. Can you tell me how to apply the rules? You can use let leftmost derivation. Can anybody tell me? Here, this is your rule number 1. This is your rule number 2. How to derive it? First, let us start with opening S, closing S. Leftmost derivation. Which rule we have to apply? We have to generate the string opening, this opening, closing, and closing. Yes, which rule is to be applied now? Rule number 1 ही है, but to leftmost derivation है ना? So for this S, whether it will generate, let me check. S, for this S, if I apply the rule number 1, what you are getting? S. Yes. Next, for this S, what is to be applied? Leftmost derivation. Tell me the rules fast. This is rule number 1, rule number 1, rule number 2. Okay, so rule number 2 is what? S derives epsilon. So if I apply epsilon, let us don't write or later on we'll remove this. So epsilon that. So यहाँ तक तो हो गया. Next, for this S, which rule is to be applied? Rule number 1. Okay, so I'll not write epsilon here. Epsilon means empty string. So for this S, let us apply the rule number 1, opening S, closing S, and then this S. Rule number 2 applied at this stage. Next rule number. Which rule is to be applied now? Leftmost derivation. Leftmost S के लिए rule number. Rule number 2. Why you want Atul again? Because you can see here, you can consider number of opening and closing, and if you match this, I don't think that here you have to apply the rule number 1. So we'll apply epsilon. As if you match here, you will get the same number of. Here also, I think we need to apply rule number 2 for this S. So your string is, if I apply epsilon here, what remains again the rule number 2, and this S will be replaced by the epsilon. So I'll remove this epsilon and this is S derives epsilon. Finally, your string is derived. Okay. So you can try like this way and check whether your grammar is correct, because in grammar, this type of question may be asked. Write a grammar to check for the well-formedness of the parenthesis. Okay. So now let us design the PDA. Okay. So what we want, what is the logic here? If you consider the same logic and here we need a stack, as we know. we need a here stack because we have to match the number of opening brackets with the number of closing brackets. So this is similar to the previous example, but in previous example what we did, a to the power n, b to the power n. In that case we push all a's on the stack, and whenever we get the b, we pop one a from the stack. But in that case, the after b what, a cannot appear, that we have seen. But in this case, if you see, opening, closing, after opening, closing, opening can come after closing also. Okay, so opening bracket can appear after closing in this case. Okay, so our logic here will be what? Again here, what we'll do, we'll read the string. Whenever we'll get the opening parenthesis, we'll push it onto the stack. And whenever we'll get the closing bracket, we'll pop the opening bracket from the stack. That is only logic. And at the end, whenever your string ends, you have to check whether the stack is also empty. If the stack is empty, then you'll accept it. Okay, so what is our logic? What is our logic? Let us write the steps. Are the steps clear? What you have to do? Are the steps clear? Who will tell me what is the first step I told now? If you read symbol opening bracket, what is the logic that I told? First step, if you get the opening symbol, if you read the opening symbol, what is the logic? You have to write the steps of the algorithm, no? Then it is easy for you to draw the flowchart for it. Just now I told no, you have to match number of opening parentheses with the closing bracket. So if you read the opening bracket, what is your step? What is your step? Push opening bracket onto the stack. That is our first step. Second, on reading, for each closing bracket, you have to match it with the opening, no? So for each closing, what we'll do? We'll pop one opening bracket from the stack. So next you are going to help me in drawing the flowchart, because now we are writing all the steps of the algorithm. Okay. So what you have to do? Repeat. Third step is what? Write down. Third, क्या करना है हमें? Repeat the above two steps till you finish with all parentheses in the string. Write down the step number 3. We have to repeat this, no? Till you reach the end of the string. That will also you write. Repeat the step number 1 and 2 till you reach the end of the string. The fourth step is what? If the input ends, that is, if you read blank, write down this in English properly. So if you read blank and the top of the stack also contain blank, then accept. Because we are considering acceptance by empty stack. Okay. So if you read blank and the stack is also blank, then accept it, otherwise reject it. Is the logic clear? Put yes or no so that you can draw the flowchart for it. Only difference here is that what after closing, opening can also occur as compared to the earlier example, a to the power n, b to the power n. Is it clear? Shall I repeat or is the logic clear? Put yes or no so we continue. Second example चल रहा है अपना PDA का. Sanket, is the clear? Is the logic clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let us draw the flowchart. All of you put yes or no in the chat, no? I am not getting whether you are getting it or not. Draw the flow chart. Number 4. Jayesh. Number 4, Jayesh.
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ, is the logic clear? क्या करना है तुम्हें?
Yes, मैम मैं अभी ज्वाइन हुआ हूँ.
Your voice is not audible for me.
मैम मैं अभी ज्वाइन हुआ हूँ. हमें
क्यों?
पावर कट था. पावर कट था तो चार्जिंग नहीं थी मोबाइल को. अभी जस्ट आई है लाइट.
See, again I'm repeating, okay? What you have to do, well formness of parenthesis means this type of string. The strings which are formed using opening and closing parenthesis. Well form means what? Well form means what? For the opening, there should be a corresponding closing bracket, okay? And if I give this type of string only, let it start with the closing, it should be rejected that, you know. If there is a extra closing bracket or if there is a extra opening bracket, those type of strings should also be rejected, okay? So what is the logic? I told in 4 steps. You will read input. If you read opening bracket, okay, you have to push that opening parenthesis onto the stack, okay? Then second step is what? If you read closing bracket, okay, for each closing bracket, you will pop one opening bracket from the stack. And you have to keep on this till you reach the end of the string. And if you reach the end of the string and if you get the blank, then you have to check whether the stack is also empty. If the stack is empty, that indicate what? Number of closing bracket equal to the number of opening bracket, and it is also well formed. Then accept that string. Okay. So now will tell me how many read states will be there. Let us start. Okay. We know that in the flow chart, we are starting with the start. Next. Read. Now you are going to tell me the transitions of read. Okay. So read में outgoing edges कौन से आएंगे? Input string is formed using opening bracket, closing bracket and the blank, correct? Okay. तो read से transition कौन से आएंगे? Put it in the chat. Yeah, opening से तो आएगा, correct? Closing से भी आएगा. What happened today? You people are not replying. Is there any problem? Either you are getting or not getting. एक ही आएगा. Transition, opening bracket. Read में अब क्या क्या आ सकता है? Opening आया. Okay. Read में closing भी आ सकता है, correct? So I'll draw the two. Okay. And हमने epsilon भी accept किया है ना? So epsilon के लिए हम assume कर रहे हैं blank, correct? We assume our input string ends with the blank. अगर हमारा string empty है, so blank हमें assume करना. Now, who will tell me the action? In the read, if you get the opening bracket, what is to be done? What is to be done? Yes. Push करना है. वही तो लिखा है ना हमने. Here, the same steps we have written here, no? Opening के लिए push. Okay. So we'll push. After push action, where it will go, what will be the next state? Once you push the opening bracket, what is the next state? Yeah, so we'll connect it to the read. That is correct. Okay. So whenever we get the opening, what we are doing? We keep on pushing onto the stack and we remain in the same state. What happens in the read if I get the closing bracket? What I told, what was our second step of algorithm? For each closing, you have to pop opening bracket from the stack. So what is my next state? In the read, if I get the closing, okay, next state is your pop. Okay, I'll write here, let pop one. If I add one more read state, then I will make this as a read one and the next state will be what? Read two. Okay, pop one. Pop one में possibilities क्या है? You should know stack पे क्या क्या आ रहा है. Pop one करने के बाद कौन कौन से symbol pop हो जाएंगे और what are the stack symbols? स्टैक पे हमने क्या पुश किया है, ओपनिंग ब्रैकेट. ओके, सो व्हाट वी आर एक्सपेक्टिंग, आउटगोइंग एजेस कितने आएंगे पॉप करने के बाद, विच सिंबल्स कैन बी पॉप. या करेक्ट ऋतुजा. सो हमने ओपनिंग पुश किया है तो ओपनिंग आ सकता है, अगर स्टैक एम्प्टी है तो ब्लैंक आ सकता है. दीज आर द ओनली टू पॉसिबिलिटीज. नो, बाकी कुछ हो सकता है क्या स्टैक से पॉप? नो, बिकॉज वी हैव नॉट पुश. नो, वी हैव पुश ओनली ओपनिंग. अगर स्टैक एम्प्टी है तो ब्लैंक है. ओके, सो ओपनिंग पॉप करने के, क्लोजिंग के लिए हमने ओपनिंग पॉप किया. देन वेर यू विल कनेक्ट दिस, ये कहाँ पे जाएगा? डू आई नीड टू क्रिएट अ न्यू रीड स्टेट और यू कैन यूज द सेम रीड स्टेट? यहाँ पे लॉजिक इंपॉर्टेंट है. What I told, after closing bracket in this well formness of parenthesis, opening can also come. So where to connect it? Do it fast. At least one example simulation करके होना चाहिए अपना ये. Where to connect it or create the new read state? The same read state, Divya? Okay. So she is saying that connected to the same read state. Let us check. Okay. Let us try this Sanket first and then we'll check whether creating a new state is required or not. Okay. So what she said that after opening, whenever opening is pop, go to the same read state. Okay. Then in this read state, what about other student? Only 2 students replied me. सब भूल गए क्या लास्ट टाइम का? सी, सो यहाँ पे आ गए हम रीड. रीड में क्या आ सकता है? ओपनिंग, क्लोजिंग, ब्लैंक. So I don't think that you don't need to create a new read state because this is not that of a to the power n, b to the power n. वहां पे हमने क्यों new read state create किया? Because after b, a was not allowed in that case. But in this case, what? After closing, opening can also come. Okay, so after closing, we can also read opening, closing, and blank. So there is a already state existing, okay, in which we are reading opening, closing, and the blank. Okay, so no need to create a new state. Is it clear, Sanket?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's why we have not created read state because this already the state exists which perform the same thing. Okay, so after this you can read if opening come, again it will be pushed on to the stack. If closing come, opening is pop from the stack. Now in this read, if you read blank, what is the next step to be done? Reading blank means what? Your input ends. So once the input ends, हमें क्या करना है? What we have to do? We have to check whether the stack is empty or not. Okay, so we'll pop. So another pop state I will create. Okay. So if the input ends and you also pop, what? The pop symbol is also blank. What is to be done? What is to be done? If the input is also ending and the stack is also empty, what is my next state here? Accept it. Correct. So accept it. Okay. Now what remains here? So यहाँ पे क्या हो सकता है कि if your input ends, pop करने के बाद another possibility क्या है कि it may pop opening, no? If there is a extra opening parenthesis. ठीक है? We'll consider those cases how it works. So if I pop opening, what is to be done? Input तो end हो गया, but stack पे opening है. Meaning is what? There is extra opening bracket, no? So what is to be done? यहाँ पे क्या करना है मुझे? After opening, yeah, reject it. Correct. Because there is a extra opening bracket. Okay, यहाँ पे देखते हैं. Extra closing के लिए कौन सा केस होगा? See, in this, if you read closing, okay, and for each closing, we need a corresponding opening bracket. So after pop, if you get corresponding opening bracket, then it is okay. That is correct. But if I read closing and if I try to pop from the stack and if you get blank, that indicates what? For this closing, there is no corresponding opening bracket. Means what? There is an extra closing bracket. Okay. So after this pop, what should be the next state? Pop करने के बाद blank आया तो क्या करना है फिर मुझे? What is to be done? We have to write the equation C after this. So pop करने के pop 1 में blank आया. What is the action? So I will connect this to here only. So reject it. Okay. Is the diagram complete now? Just check. Just check whether it is accepting and rejecting. Whether it is accepting the correct string and rejecting the incorrect string. Let us check. And then we'll write the equation. See, if my input string is only closing bracket, can you tell me in which pop 1 or pop 2 where it gets rejected? If my input string is only closing bracket, where it gets rejected? See, please reply fast, otherwise the example भी complete नहीं होगा आज. Okay. So what happens? We'll start. Read will read the closing bracket. So closing के बाद we'll go to the pop 1. And when you the stack पे तो हमने कुछ push ही नहीं किया तो stack पे क्या है? Blank है. So pop 1 will pop blank and it is rejected. See, so this is rejected. Now let us take opening, closing, and our input is ending. What happens in this case? Can you tell me where it gets rejected? In which pop state? Yeah, because what happens? First 2 के लिए after reading this it will push. So there will be stack content will be like this way, no? Blank, opening, and then if you get the closing here, for this closing, top parenthesis is pop. So this is pop from the stack, and then in the read it is reading blank. So when you read the blank and pop action is called, it will pop. What is pop now? Opening is pop. So there is an extra opening bracket. So it is rejected. Okay. So let us write the equations for this. So if you remember last time का ये याद है या नहीं? How to write the equation? I have already told. What are the possibilities here? Okay. So possibility C. Okay, let's explain this. You have to consider this as a state. In this case, अपने state कितने हैं? एक ही है ना, read state. Last time it was read 1, read 2. यहाँ पे अपना state एक ही है, read. Then this is the input alphabet. Input alphabet में कितने possibilities है? Input alphabet. Can you tell me input alphabet? Input alphabet क्या है अपने example में? We have to write the equations of this form. Again, what I have told, this is a state. Note down अगर आपको याद नहीं है तो. What this indicate? This A it belongs to the input alphabet, and this Z is a what? Stack top symbol. Note down करो. Last time नहीं किया है तो. This P indicate the next state, and this is gamma is a what? Stack content after the transition. Stack contents. Okay. So what is the input alphabet? So we have to consider all possibilities. No, state our case. Q is what? Let us write it. What is Q? Q is a finite set of states. इस example में कितने states है? इस example में कितने states है? 1. Okay. So right. What is that state? Only read. Correct. What is input alphabet? Input. What is input alphabet? Input string is formed using, yeah, correct, Atharva. Opening, closing, and the blank. Yes. What is my stack alphabet? Stack पे हम क्या क्या push कर रहे हैं? Stack पे कौन से symbol आ रहे हैं? That is the stack alphabet, no? So what is the stack alphabet here? Yes, opening and the blank. So is that clear now why we have used the different notation for the stack alphabet? Because this two may not be same. Okay, जो symbol हम stack के लिए use कर रहे हैं that will come in the stack alphabet. Okay, ये हो गया. Then what is our Q0? Initial state यहाँ पे क्या है? Start के बाद तो read ही है. So read is our initial state. Okay, stack top symbol is blank and now we have to write the transition. Okay, तो यहाँ पे possibilities क्या हो सकते? देखो input alphabet अपना there are 3 symbol. तो here there are 3 possibilities. Okay, Z stack पे कितने symbol है? 2. Okay, तो कितने equations आएंगे? Possibly this is how you can decide how many equations you have to write for each state. That depends on the input alphabet and the stack alphabet. No, तो इसका कॉम्बिनेशन रीड के साथ हमें कंसिडर करना है. तो कितने पॉसिबिलिटीज हो सकते हैं? सी आपका परम्यूटेशंस कॉम्बिनेशन सब हुआ है. यहाँ पे क्या यूज करना होगा? कॉम्बिनेशन. दिस ए इट कैन टेक 3 वैल्यू, दिस जेड इट कैन टेक 2 वैल्यूज. सो कितने पॉसिबिलिटीज हो गए? लेट अस सी हु विल आंसर द करेक्ट वन. I have to consider all possible combinations. State एक है read. This second input alphabet can take 3 values and this Z it can take 2 values. Z symbol. Yes, ये समझ में आएगा. Then only you can write the equations. कि कितने equations आएंगे अपने PDA में. So each time you try to analyze this कि कितने states है, input alphabet में क्या आ रहा है, stack alphabet में कितना आ रहा है. So see you can consider this combination like read एक है, this is 3 symbols and this is, so total 6 equations आएंगे इस केस में. अगर मेरे केस में यहाँ पे 2 state होते तो there will be 12 equations. So remember that it is just multiplication. Okay, so let us write the equations now. You know how many equations you have to write. So delta Q is my read. Let us take first opening bracket. Consider all the combination, no? And let the stack is blank. So what is the action? Now tell me. P is the next step. So next step read के बाद opening आने के बाद next step तो यहाँ पे read ही आएगा. यहाँ पे accept तो नहीं होगा ना? Okay. Then what is gamma? Stack content is what? What is done? If I read the opening, it is pushed onto the stack. Remember last time's equation. So you'll write what? Opening is pushed onto the top of the stack and the blank. So you can show the 2 symbol because blank to हमें पता है already and on the top of that opening is pushed. So this is what the stack content. तो ये एक हो गया अपना equation. Second equation will consider opening and this will change to another stack symbol, that is the opening. Now who will tell me next state and the stack content? Next state and the stack content. Yes, so read is the next state and stack content. Whatever, it may be opening on the top of that. If you get the opening, you have to push it, no? So stack ये आएगा ना, opening and opening. Is that correct? This is the equation number 2. Is that clear or not? Equation number 2. 4 more equations we have to write now. So straight तो हमारे पास एक ही है, so it is not changed. So we completed when the input is opening and the stack may be blank or the stack may contain opening parenthesis. Now stack content closing we have to consider and let us consider the stack possibility. Stack पे let blank है. Who will tell me? Read में closing आया and what this indicate? The stack is empty. So what is it? Check the flow chart properly. We are not writing Rohan, no pop here. So we'll just directly write here reject. Yes, ये हो गया अपना third equation. Fourth equation now. read. Again, we'll keep the input as a closing, and now let us consider. So what is it now? Yes, next state read है, but stack पे क्या दिखाना है फिर? Stack is what you are doing whenever you get the closing, opening is pop from the stack. No, in that case I told to show it using epsilon. No, Sakshi, because see, whenever you get the closing, opening is pop from the stack. ये अपना stack top symbol है opening, which is pop, and we are showing it as a epsilon. Next now ये अपना हो गया किसके लिए? Input symbol closing के लिए complete. Now let us consider input symbol as a blank, and now the stack is also blank. Stack के possibilities consider करो. हाँ, तो क्या आएगा अभी? Accept, that is correct. Read करने के बाद blank आया, that is input ends, and the stack is also empty, so accept it. एक ही पॉसिबिलिटी रह गया अपना अभी. रीड है, ब्लैंक है, एंड स्टैक पे ओपनिंग ब्रैकेट है. व्हाट इज इट? रिजेक्ट. करेक्ट, बिकॉज इनपुट एंड हो गया, स्टिल स्टैक पे ओपनिंग है, सो दैट इंडिकेट देयर इज अ एक्स्ट्रा ओपनिंग ब्रैकेट, सो रिजेक्ट इट. Completed equations. Is that clear how to write the equations? This part is important. फर्स्ट थिंग आपको लॉजिक डिसाइड करना आना चाहिए कि क्या करना होगा इस एग्जांपल में. विच सिंबल्स आई हैव टू पुश, व्हाट इज टू बी डन. ओके, सो इफ योर दैट कंसेप्ट इज क्लियर, देन इट इज इजी फॉर यू. यस, इज इट क्लियर? अरे समझ में आया या नहीं? ईच टाइम आई विल नॉट एक्सप्लेन दिस प्रोसीजर नाउ. How to write the equation, how to find the skew input alphabet, and this is what our transition. Okay, so now find the simulation for this example. Simulate it using the two ways we have seen. Let the first way से पहले simulate करो. Consider the input string. Let जो accept करते हैं वो consider. So make the, and for fast tell me abhi, because I have to finish this. Current state, stack contents, tape and head. Current state, you are starting, stack is initially empty blank, input is written on the tape. फाइनल क्या आना चाहिए पहले मुझे बोला, एक्सेप्ट और रिजेक्ट. स्ट्रिंग के लिए फाइनली इट शुड एक्सेप्ट और रिजेक्ट इट. फाइनली दिस शुड स्ट्रिंग शुड बी एक्सेप्टेड और रिजेक्टेड. ओके, सो फाइनल आपका एक्सेप्ट आना चाहिए. डू द सिमुलेशन. चलो स्टार्ट के बाद नेक्स्ट कीप ऑन पुटिंग द मैसेज इन द चैट व्हाट आई हैव टू डू नेक्स्ट. स्टार्ट के बाद रीड, देन रीड करने के बाद यहाँ पे रीड क्या रीड करेगा, व्हाट द रीड, यू नो हाउ टू डिनोट दिस. रीड के बाद रीड, इट विल रीड ओपनिंग ब्रैकेट. सो यहाँ पे आपका पॉइंटर था, दैट इनपुट पॉइंटर यू हैव टू मूव अहेड. नेक्स्ट स्टेट क्या है, रीड के बाद हियर वी आर शोइंग पुश पॉप ऑपरेशन इन दिस केस. या व्हाट इज द नेक्स्ट दैट आई हैव टू शो.